right, let's do this. So these are the hidden money rules that every founder misses. Let's start off with a little trivia game. So let's see if you guys can guess this. So what do you want to sell? Not. And this is one of the biggest mistakes that I see entrepreneurs, founders making across the board. So I'll tell you what it's not. It's not services. This is one of the biggest, if not the number one mistake that you can make as an entrepreneur, selling a service. What you want to sell is the outcome. Okay? So the game that you're actually in the game of business, is taking people from where they're at currently to their desired future state. That is the entire game. Think about what happens when, and a lot of clients will confuse this too, customers will confuse this too. They don't really understand why they're looking for what they're looking for, but I can assure you once you start to see this pattern, everything is going to become a lot more clear to you, and you're going to be able to sell to anyone. Because what we want to do is stop selling these features, deliverables, tasks, hours. And we want to start selling are these. Transformation, certainty, predictability, ROI, peace, power. Now, nobody's buying a gym membership, nobody's buying a car, nobody's buying a meal plan. What they're buying is a desired future state that they can foresee themselves in whenever they're taking your product or your service. And so amateurs sell services, pros sell outcomes and feelings. So we sell what it's gonna look like, right? A real salesman is able to paint that picture for you. They paint and forecast that vision, and you can see what it's going to look like working with them, working with their service, working with their product. And that's also what happens whenever you go in and you go to the gym. What if they just said, oh, we have weights, we have treadmills, we have this, we have a front desk, there's a bathroom in there. We're like, no shit, it's a gym. Like, obviously you have all these things. These are features, right? The next level way of doing that would be selling the benefits of the features. We have a gym so that you can work out whenever you want. It's 24/7 access. So you have complete freedom. You can come in here whenever you'd like, and you can get a workout without being interrupted by other people. Okay, now they're selling the benefit of the feature. We have saunas so that you can go in there and you can feel refreshed after a workout, and so that you can be rejuvenated and your skin can be healthy and vital. See, now I'm selling the benefit, which is one step up from selling the feature, but you never want to get in this game. This is the hamster wheel. This is the rat race right here. This is the solopreneur's game. This is what we're gonna do for you. These are the deliverables, these are the hours. No, we don't do anything like that. One of the biggest mistakes I made when I started is that I would sell deliverables. I don't sell any deliverables anymore. You never wanna think in terms of services. You only wanna think in terms of solutions. Because nobody comes to you for SEO. No, this is what they think they're coming to you for. Nobody comes to you for paid ads. What do they come to you for? Massive traffic. Are you gonna give me massive traffic? That's what the real desire is there. Why do they want massive traffic? Because they want what? What do they want? They want leads. Why do they want leads? Because they want money. Why do they want money? Because they want peace. Because they want power. Because they want family time. So you really gotta go deep on this stuff and understand the psychology of people. And because when you understand this stuff, then you can sell in any market, you can sell any product, you can sell any service. Because people, it's the perception that people are buying. People are not buying the actual Rolex. People are not buying a Gucci bag. They're buying the status. They're buying what they're gonna feel like when they're wearing that, right? It's the status element of it. It's the feeling of it that it invokes. The product in and of itself has no value. It's the perception of it that gives it value. So back to this illustration. This is what we want to sell, right? And so what does it look like when we do it on a web design? See, a lot of web design agencies are gonna get caught. They're gonna tell you all the features. They're gonna tell you the cost. You never wanna give the cost of anything. You wanna sell the outcome of it with a super hard guarantee and what it's gonna do. And then you wanna tie that back to how much money it's gonna make them, right? It's gonna be $10,000 for the website. It's gonna look beautiful. It's gonna have all the features that you want. We can do whatever you want. Yeah, whatever you envision. The graphics are gonna be sick. Who the fuck cares? I don't care. It doesn't matter. You know what I'm looking for? I'm looking for leads. Is it gonna give me people? Are people gonna fill out the form or call me? That's the whole purpose of the website. Is it gonna make me money? Right? Is it gonna get me booked appointments if it's a local service-based business? That's what it needs to do. Right? It doesn't need to be some beautiful online brochure. It serves no purpose. Fitness classes. See, nobody's buying the fitness class membership. What are they buying? Abs, confidence, right? This is how you can really dominate in any market. You start selling this type of stuff, you take over a whole entire market real quick. Because look, 95% of local service-based businesses they're selling services, and they're using we language, not you language, which we'll get into in a second. Coaching, what would that one be? What would you want to sell instead of coaching? Clarity, vision, focus, purpose. You're like, fuck, dude, I'm ready to sign up with you right now and do some one-on-one coaching, right? Yeah, you did. Who doesn't want that? What type of entrepreneur is not going to want clarity, vision, focus, purpose, meaning, you know? That's what I'm saying. And I'm like, coaching rate is $60 an hour. It's lame, it's vanilla, it's boring, it's a service. Nobody can see anything. They're almost asking to hand you their credit card, but you need to get them to the finish line and you need to paint the picture. So, some shocking stats for you guys. 72% of mental health struggles, 72% of entrepreneurs have mental health struggles. So, let's start with this one. You need to understand the game that you're playing. See, the person that loves, what's a good example for this? Cooking and starts a restaurant is really in for it. Because starting a restaurant has really nothing to do with cooking at all. It's cool at the beginning, but what does it actually have to do with? It has to do with advertising, right? It has to do with selling. It has a lot to do with hiring, with managing people, with training them, right? With customer service. Only a very small aspect of it is the actual quality of the food, which is, again, you're the owner. You don't need to be cooking the food. You'll have chefs, they're gonna be cooking the food. So the amateur entrepreneur, most entrepreneurs get into starting a restaurant thinking because they like to cook, and when they're in the game they realize this is the real game. And so you really need to understand the game that you're playing, or don't play the game. That's fine. You don't have to play the game. There's plenty of jobs that are always going to be available. There's nothing wrong with that, but you need clarity when you start, or else you're going to always be chasing a illusory vision that you're never going to attain. Because the game is not cooking for the chef that loves to cook and opens a restaurant. The game is very much all of the different functions of how to be successful in business: advertising, selling, hiring, managing, training, and customer service. Okay, so that is going to give you clarity, which is important before you even get in the game. Or if you're in the game right now and this is resonating with you, now you can see that you signed up for something different. So you need to either embrace it or get away from it, abandon ship. You need to figure it out. That's going to put you in the 28% right there. But other things that you can do, and look, these are things that you already know. These are things that you already know that you just don't do, like exercise, meditate, read, right? If you're social, you need to have strong relationships. You need to have love in your life. You need all these things. Even if you're super workaholic mode, psychopathic, 16 hours in the business and you love it, I get it. I'm not social. I don't care to social with people, but I still exercise, I still meditate. I still read so that I can learn, so I can teach you guys this stuff, and so that I can become more masterful in my craft. And that covers that. So why did 90% of startups fail? Well, they fail because of a few reasons, but I'm sure, as you can see, the principle that we're starting to create here, the picture that we're starting to paint here, is because they do these things, right? They do these things, or they go too obsessive on product, and so they're like, we have the best product in the world. This product's amazing. This service is amazing, and they think so much about their product or their service. But you know what? Nobody wants. Nobody wants it. Nobody wants your product or service at all. Sorry, had to learn it the hard way myself, right? That's why businesses that do run ads and have websites and run direct mailers or whatever they do, they say, we're the best, I blank. This doesn't work. You copy works. What am I going to get out of it? You need to appeal to everybody's self-interest. You need to appeal to your prospect, your lead, and then your customer's self-interest at the highest level. You need to put everything on them. The only time that I works is when you're really, really, really gifted at writing storytelling copy. But that is a totally different lesson. Most of your language needs to revolve around you are going to give. So in this sense, you are going to have access 24/7 to the gym so that you can have peace, so that you can have power, and so that you can use the sauna in a solo space and feel rejuvenated. You are going to bring a buddy so that you can increase, the relationships, whatever it is, right? You need to paint that picture and use you type of language, make it all about the customer. Do not make it about we, our company. Nobody cares about anything like that. People care about what's in it for them. So they don't want your product or service, they want what it unlocks. Okay? Remember that. This is a total game changer. This is a total game changer. You're gonna be able to outcompete 90% of businesses easy. I would probably say 95+% of businesses just by understanding this. And then the core of this all, and the last shocking statistic, is that 60% admit having no client acquisition system. So we can trace this back to the root issue of why most businesses fail. This is why 90% of startups fail. No customer getting, client, customer, whatever you call them. I'm using that label and that terminology interchangeably. We don't have a predictable way to print customers, okay? Number one. Before you do anything, before you start hiring, before you start managing, before you start training, before you start scaling, before you start cooking, before you start, not at all. Don't do anything like that. Have a solution, not a service, a solution. Only sell it and then have a solution. So diagnose a problem, have a solution, or supply a demand. It's not always about solving a problem. Sometimes it's about supplying demand. It's supply and demand. So either supply a demand, have a solution, and then get masterful at getting customers. But before you can get a customer, you gotta get a lead. Before you get a lead, you gotta get a prospect. Before you get a prospect, you need to convert a stranger into a prospect, and then a prospect into a lead, and then a lead into a customer or a client for your business. So this is the core issue. 90% of startups are failing because of that. Nobody cares about their products. Nobody cares. You can have the best product, have the best service in the world, but if you don't have this portion of it figured out, then you're always banging your head against the wall. You're not able to unlock massive scale. You're not able to step away from your business because it can't exist without your presence, and all sorts of other things. So the number one thing in this is admitting that you don't have a client acquisition system and then fixing it. Now, we're just gonna shout out our own company real fast. Obviously, we're proficient at this. This is what we do. We get you clients, we get you customers at lordsonly.com. You can get a free 14-day trial if it's still up. At this time, it is up, where we get you over 30+ leads in 14 days for only $1. But again, if you don't wanna do that, then that's fine. You can keep learning from these videos and figure out how to do it yourself. There's a myriad of ways to do it, and no one way is correct. No one way is right, so you don't want to fall into the habit of listening to X guru about X method. No, don't ever think about that. You need to understand the game. You need to understand business. You need to understand foundational principles. You need to understand advertising. You need to understand marketing. You need to understand selling. Because based on your market, based on your product, and based on your service, there are optimal places to be, right? The personal injury lawyers have billboards everywhere for a reason, right? They've figured out that's one of the most optimal places to be, to get that multi-million-dollar call and that lawsuit. So again, that's one example of where they're still physical and not digital, because pay-per-click costs are in the hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And sure, some of them probably still do it successfully, but again, the medium doesn't matter. What you really want is you want to find the traffic, and then you want to have message to market match. So once you know where your ideal customers and clients are, you want to have a message that is so powerful and resonates with them so deeply that you convert them from a stranger into a lead. And then you need to focus on selling. If you have a bunch of leads you suck at selling, then you can't close any of them. Except for the ones that are begging you to give out their mother's credit card to sign up for your thing because they're so desperate, which are the ones that you don't want. So once you have the leads, you need to figure out how to sell them to make them customers. All right, and then the game begins again. You need to figure out operations, and you can figure out onboarding and all these type of things, but we're not gonna go too deeply into that. Just understand from this, the idea of this is to give you clarity on what do I need to do? Because whenever I first started, nobody showed me, and I couldn't figure out what I needed to do. And so I spent hundreds, if not thousands of hours doing things that were not optimal. And once I figured out what really moves the needle, now I'm able to allocate my time more effectively and keep creating leverage in my business by focusing on things that really generate revenue, that really move the needle, allow us to charge higher rates, get better results, deliver better on the actual solution, on the things that we're doing, right? And actually focus on development, building, scale, learning, mastering, all of those type of things. But again, you need to know where to start. So you start here, making sure you understand why you're in the game, making sure that you're at least checking a few of these boxes. Like you gotta be exercising, meditating, reading. You gotta have good relationships. Like you need to have love in your life. Like you need to check a few of those boxes. And then if you're like, cool, I still wanna play the game. I love the game. I wanna be an entrepreneur. I'm down for the challenges. Life is a series of challenges and I'm the challenger, let's go. Then cool, then you're here and you're like, I need a client acquisition system. How am I gonna get one of them? Okay, well, we need a solution that we can offer to the marketplace. We need to fix a very narrow problem, ideally, or supply and demand. We need to be in a market where the supply outweighs the demand, right? That makes it easier to sell your thing. For instance, I'll give you guys an example. Water slides in Texas. Water slides, the inflatable water slides in Texas. You know why the supply is so high? Because moms are buying them for their kid's birthday party. And it's 99, 104 degrees. And so what is the probability that they're gonna buy water slide? It's super high, right? Their kid is having the birthday party, it's happening. Are they gonna buy it from me, or are they gonna buy it from you? And that's where the market, or when the supply outweighs the demand, then you can be a little bit floppier in your actual sales process and your advertising. And ideally you can scale way easier, but you gotta understand the game you're actually in. So now that you know nobody wants your product, nobody wants your service, they want what it unlocks. So get really good at figuring out that, figuring out what it unlocks, and then get really good at that, and you can scale.